Do you know that real presets work on all photos? Do you know why your photo preset ends up not working on your photos? That's because you don't know the basics of creating presets. In the next 8 minutes, I'll be teaching you how to create astonishing presets which will work on all your photos. Let's go. You see, creating your own preset for personal use can be so simple and fun, but realizing that your presets cannot work on other photos is another problem. So, what truly is a preset? Preset is an already made edit or saved setting which you can use again. Most photographers create and save presets because of consistency, to give their photos the same vibe, speed, to be able to copy and paste the presets on their raw photos, and monetization, in which presets are sold for money. So, you should get something clear. This is not about copying presets. You shouldn't buy presets. You should have yours. You should create yours. So that's why I'm making this video. So watch. I'm going to teach you how to use the basics of color lighting and color grading to make your own presets in this video. So watch out. Okay, so um there in creating a preset there are just two settings, two features in Lightroom we use to create presets. Two most important features in Lightroom used to create presets, and that's the light and the color. As you can see here, the light has exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, whites and blacks. Then the color has the temperature, the tints, the vibrance and saturation. It also has the color grading and the color mix. These are the two features we use to create presets. So speaking of the exposure in the light, the exposure controls the overall brightness of your image. Think of it of how much light a camera captures. So the contrast is like the contrast creates a difference between the brightest parts of your pictures and then the darkest parts. So if you want to use the contrast, to reduce the contrast, you get a softer image. To increase the contrast, you get a more sharp image when you are reducing the contrast. That's what the contrast is used for. You can see as I'm using this picture now to give examples. The highlights is used to affect the brightest parts of your photos. Lowering these highlights recovers details. You understand? Lowering the highlights recovers details from the most brightest part of your photos. So the shadows are the same thing, but just that the shadows affect the darkest parts. So you lowering the shadows also recovers details from the darkest parts of your photos. Do you understand? So same thing as it applies to white and blacks, but we don't use white and blacks in creating presets. We merely use the exposure. So this exposure and highlights and shadows, when creating presets, you don't turn them on too much. Just take a little and use +5 or +6 as seen here, as you're seeing here. I use for the highlights, I reduced it a bit to like -13, and then let's take the shadows to like +10. Yes, so that's the correct to set the foundation, because light is always the foundation for a good preset. So you set the foundation for a good preset with good lighting. But notice that in a bad photo a good preset can't work well in a bad photo, especially when the lighting is very bad. So you have to get if the photo has have correct lighting in order for the preset to work. So over to the color. The temperature controls how warm or cool the photo is. So you want to give this photo a kind of warm look, a kind of sunny look, you increase the temperature. As you can see, if you want to give it this cinematic or cool look, decrease the temperature a bit. So it depends on the preset you want to create. If you want to create a kind of cinematic warm look, increase the temperature, but not much, just increase it to taste. That's for this preset you're going to create now. I'm going to use like +10 temperature. So I'll give you this warm look because I want to give you this sunny vibe. So the tint the tint is used to correct color lighting problems. So we don't use the tint much when you know your picture has a good color lighting. so you neglect the tint. Then the vibrance and saturation. Okay, the saturation increases the intensity of every color. It increases the intensity of every color equally, not individually. I will show you how to increase the intensity of every color individually. As you can see, the saturation increases the intensity of every color equally. So if you want to like affect a particular color in the picture, that's where the color mix comes in. You understand? So here in the color mix, you want to create a good preset, a very very good preset that will be applied in most photos, that will work in most photos. So you have to only affect the little colors, don't affect much colors or it won't work on all photos. Okay, let's go to blue. Blue is to like make your photo pop. Yes, when you affect this blue color, the sky will always have this popping look and sunny look. Let's affect this blue color. We increase the saturation to +14, the luminance to, let's take it to 20. Let's take it to 20. Okay, let's leave it at 21. Then the saturation, let's increase the saturation a bit here. Then go to this blue, reduce the hue, then increase the saturation as well, increase the luminance. You see this cinematic sky blue color affected. So okay, click on done. The color grading parts, I only use highlights. Why? Because I don't need midtones. This is a preset, so I don't need midtones. I need to work on all photos, mini photos, as much as mini photos. So I only use highlights. I want to give it this sunny look. So I don't want to as well change the color of the other objects in the picture. Yes, let's give it this sunny look, cinematic sunny look. Okay. I place this as you can see, I place this at pink, almost purple magenta pink color, close to the white color. So come to blending, you blend it a bit to 59. Then that's all for the color grading part. So this vibrance, from vibrance you can like increase the intensity of the colors in the image equally too, but not as intense as the saturation. Yes, vibrance affects mostly the colors without making the face look unreal. You understand? So about these effects, you turn on the texture. You don't use texture mode because the texture affects the face of the person, the subject in the picture. So you reduce, most times I reduce texture. Then clarity, you increase clarity a little if you want to make the face, give the face details, or you decrease clarity when you want to give this, especially when you're creating presets for outdoor photos, for landscape photos. You reduce the clarity, so to give this photo a kind of dreamy vibe. As you can see here, it's reducing the clarity, giving the photo a kind of dreamy vibe. So you're not using the clarity here. So the haze is used to increase contrast, at the same time increase the saturation, at the same time increase the shadows, the details, the shadows and the highlights. You understand? As you can see, the haze is also quite good, but I don't use the haze. I only use this. You have created a very very nice preset. It can work on all photos. Do you get? So about exporting this preset, you click on this button here. You see export as. You want to export it as a file that someone can download and then use it on another device in the same Lightroom, but on another device. You want to share it to your friends and family. You click on this export as. Then where you see this file type, you click on this file type, you choose DNG, click on DNG and then click on export. It will export this photo exactly as a DNG file, and as that's a preset file, you can copy and paste. On your photos when you use it on Lightroom. But if you want to save this preset to your personal Lightroom, you click on these three buttons here. Then you click on create preset. You see create preset. You name the preset. You can name it with anything. Name it video preset. Then you click on this good button here, and then when you want to access the preset, you move to this button here, and you see this, you see recommended, you see premium, you see yours. Click on yours, then you click on my preset. You see all the presets here. These are all the presets I've created more than 300 presets. Then you have user presets, you have saved from community. So this is user presets, and then this one is one saved from community. So Lightroom has a community which you can go and download presets from. But I emphasize on creating your own presets. So that's all. So creating presets is all about using the lights and the colors, about manipulating the lights and colors to get a preset which you can use on every other photo. So that's all for today. Make sure you like and share this video to your friends and family for them to know how to create their own presets like this on Lightroom. Make sure you follow, subscribe to this channel, and make sure you create your own presets. You can also drop a comment below to tell me what challenges you faced when creating your presets, and then see you on the next video.